Hello everyone, welcome to the session. I would like to talk about an urgent call for consciousness which is coming into my awareness, and maybe it is important for you as well. Everything I'm talking about is coming from my inner perspectives, my experience, as well as my intuitive mind, kind of soul perspective, higher mind, intuition. And it's not here for saying I have the truth. It's rather here for giving perspectives where you can think of if this is if this is a part of your reality, because we are all here as creators to take certain things and make this part of us and say, this is reality for me, this is true for me. And so this is only a proposition, an offer of seeing truth this way, because I see it like this. Maybe you're in different states of mind and heart and experience, and therefore it's different. And we all can learn something from each other. And I'm not finished with my learning, so whatever I talk about today can be different tomorrow, of course. Yeah. What I feel is that there is an urgent call for stepping out of the mind, the logic mind, into the higher mind. I made this video before, but now it's going even deeper in the information that is coming concerning this. Because what we can see is that there are certain conflicts in the world that are now coming to an extreme where things build up even more in certain reality lines. So whatever you think about is true will bring more of this. If you think the situation is like this in terms of wars, in whatever country it is, and you think this is truth about this war, or whatever you think about that, it will get more of this. There will be kind of realities that are creating certain experiences to come, and we are creating these realities. Means we need to be aware of what we are thinking and the process how thinking works, because we are always depending on information in a certain way if we are in a logical mind. But if we look at the same situation, whatever it is, from a higher mind perspective, there is coming a heart-based component into it. And you start to think in a way of the heart. What would the heart means? Unconditional love, peace, freedom from deep within. What would this component say? And it's like a filter you have on the logical mind. And you can say, maybe this is not true, this is too much filtered. Or you can say, it's also part of seeing reality like this. And my personal experience regarding wars, I don't have such one, but it has some components that I feel I have experienced in my own motherhood with my kids, to see them fight with each other and to see them grow with each other in this situation of struggling. And I try to compare this kind of world wars or struggles in the world, country to country, or several countries against other several countries. I try to break it down into family life and try to understand it from there. And to be like the mother or the father which can observe what the kids are fighting for, how they are fighting, and what kind of emotions they have, what kind of demands and feelings they have, and what they express or what they don't express, and how as well we as the parents can interact or help them to find a solution themselves. There are so many ways how parents can help their kids grow, and every parent has another paradigm or way of seeing things, how to help their own kids grow. And it's depending on consciousness, but also on the perspective of reality itself. And we are all kind of programmed in a certain way, as our parents has educated us to see the world. And when we become parents, we mostly are reacting and thinking and feeling the way how our parents did. So there's kind of a filter that is definitely there psychologically. So we need to be aware of this filter, which we can try to transcend, where we need to step back and request, questioning what we have learned, if this is really correct. And sometimes we are so strong in our own belief system that we are right, that we are doing good, that we would never question some areas in behavior, in thinking, and in terms of truth, in terms of what is good for our kids and what is not. And in the past we had a lot of experience with wars, with educational systems, how certain nations have told how kids should be raised and parents should behave. And we need to start to think new and from the heart, to request, to questioning certain behavior. And I've said that before in some videos, that my partner, because he's coming from another culture, from Peru, has always brought some other ideas how to raise kids. And they are really sometimes totally different to kids than I have learned how to raise kids. And it brought me in certain struggles with my own belief system to think about, am I right or am I wrong? I mean, this is a fundamental question we have in our, in terms of awareness, being able to think that we are maybe wrong, and to know that we are still good, that we always wanted the best, and that even if we came to the conclusion that we have done something wrong, we are good enough and great to see that we can change, that we can lose a certain picture of ourselves that we have established, that we have kind of hold on to. to make us great, to make us feel good, to be proud of ourselves, so to say. Sometimes the world of how we see ourselves gets tied down, and in this kind of transformational developing processes, we are able to question certain behaviors, and it's part of growing out of the ego to know that we sometimes need to lose to understand what other realities are possible, and then to analyze again if another reality, a new possibility would be better from a higher perspective. And we are all kind of caught up in this programmed bubble in a certain nation, in a country which has certain experiences with other countries, painful experiences, proudful experiences, and it all kind of shaped us in the way we are here now. And this is at the same time the most difficult thing in our actual position to deal with, to break free of this programmed development, to see things in a new light. Because when certain conflicts and also wars in this world come to a point where we are struggling to find a solution and to have peace again, then the question is not who's right and who's wrong. The question is, do we have enough information to understand each other? And it's the same like I as a parent would do. If my kids are struggling, then I'm asking questions. What do you need? What has happened to you? And I'm asking both sides the same questions. And I want both the kids to be there while I'm asking them these questions, to understand that they have both the right to be heard, to be seen, and to be understood. And that it's always about finding solutions. And we only can find solutions by questioning, by asking questions which maybe lead to a certain broader understanding of the situation itself. What was the reason for the situation to exist, to come into existence, and also how can the situation be solved? So whatever kind of conflict is there, the first question would be, is this my conflict, which I need to solve because it's my conflict? Or is it a conflict of someone else? And is it me which has the responsibility to interact, to help someone else to solve the conflict? And if yes, then the question is, how much help am I supposed to give? How much help am I supposed to offer? Or which I should rather not offer, because it's not helping. In a sense of, the help is only then helpful if the other person is able to help themselves, because we all learn only from a deeper perspective of understanding if we can use the help of someone else to help ourselves. Otherwise, we are not in responsibility any longer, and we're giving responsibilities to someone else. So in terms of family, I as a parent don't want to give, I don't want my kids to give responsibility to me to solve their conflicts. I rather would try to let responsibility with them, and depends on the age of the kids as well, but to leave the responsibility by them so they can kind of solve the problem on their own, or with my help, but together, and not stepping back and let someone else do whatever they need. It's always a game changer if you have help, and the question is, what kind of help do we really are supposed to give? And if we are not part of the conflict, we need to understand if we are responsible to help or not. Otherwise, we need to be neutral. And in this world, it's for me like a kindergarten sometimes. Countries are fighting with each other, and we need to learn that everything is experience, is a field of exchanging experience, and let them make their experience. Yeah. Important is to have the information. If you're really into this conflict and you have responsibility to interact, then what kind of information do you take? And what kind of emotions do you have from your own experience, from your own parents' programming, your pain and proud experience, whatever it is, from past, from history, which is in your genes. And it all kind of comes into the process of processing information. I mean, how to analyze information. And from psychology, we know that we always should analyze information in a non-emotional way. Otherwise, we are tracked into certain areas we don't want to get to, and we are not helpful. So, but we cannot let go of our emotions, right? We are kind of intermingled with this, and it's important that we take our emotions with us, but to be aware of it and to work on the emotions in this kind of process means, even though we are the one who is a coach or someone who helps, whether it be in the family or in politics or whatever higher positions for states, it's a question if we can understand that we, even though we are helping, we are also helping ourselves. We are in two processes at the same time: help others, help ourselves. And the question is how good we can understand the process of helping ourselves first, to solve our emotions and so to say, black blinded points in ourselves so that we can see clear. Because otherwise we are not clear, we are filtering reality in a certain way and hearing certain information only the way we think and feel. And so everything that we experience is there to give us the possibility to experience ourselves again in a new way, especially with the capability of being able to feel. these feelings offer us to transcend the question of what is truth for us, to get a new way of seeing things in another light when we are confronted with emotional topics. And war is a worldwide topic that every kind of person is somehow connected with in regards of feelings. No one really wants war and struggle and fight. But still, we have tendencies to go against or to go for something. And the question is why we cannot be the neutral observer seeing someone else fighting with each other. Why are we maybe very strong or very fast, kind of locked into certain discussions in a certain way? And we can get really emotional in this kind of discussions as well. So this is all fine, this is human, but to understand that we have a kind of ambiguity task to solve here with ourselves, with our inner consciousness, with our inner emotional topics, is key and important to really be helpful in the outer world. So we need to solve the inner world first to understand the outer world in a new light. It doesn't mean that we get new truths or new behaviors, but it helps us to accept certain things which we cannot solve, or we cannot do anything. And most fighting is dependent on we cannot let go topics. We cannot accept. And one thing I wanted to mention is we cannot say light is good or darkness is bad, yeah, because everything that exists has two sides itself. For example, being a loving parent which accepts whatever the kid wants might be allowing and developing the kids in a certain way very strongly, that they can find their will and their kind of expression. But on the other side, you have the behavior in parents saying no, giving borders, and saying we're not allowing this, and we force kids to do it in another way, to say you need to follow what we are talking about. So it's more in a dictatorial way, or it's more in a laissez-faire or accepting way. So what I want to say is both states of being this or that are there in us as a parent, being allowing and being saying what is wrong and what is right. And this is how we create reality, right? To say, okay, we want that and we don't want that. But what is important when we become parents is to understand that we are not forming our kids, and we have not responsibility to form our kids as we want it. And rather to understand that a kid, your children, has a certain soul plan, a certain way of what it needs to learn, and that we also don't know everything about that, but there need to be free freedom of this kind of developing space. Yeah, so we cannot be only dictating what is right and wrong. There need to be freedom for the kid to tell us what is right and wrong. There need to be space and allowing for the kid to do things different than we would do it. Otherwise, no country would really be able to step out of its own programming. And so we have these two paradigms of someone is telling us what is right and wrong, and we are telling someone what is right and wrong. And at the end, we need to see that truth is always in the middle, in terms of someone else sees truth in this, and I see truth, for example, in this. And if I understand this kind of how truth is created, then I'm aware that I am only seeing one truth and not the whole truth. And this makes a person with this thinking in a way, I am not the one who knows everything, right? Socrates, I think, was someone who said, I think that I don't know something or don't know anything. And this is the thing that will bring peace to the world. That we are not fighting for being right or being wrong. Someone is right, someone is wrong. And to always find a solution in between realities, in between perspectives of what is truth and what is not truth. And to understand that there are many truths. And in the end, it's not about what is truth, it's about what brings peace. And whatever brings peace is not what is truth. Peace is where two parts, my kids for example, are kind of content and can accept each other in the way they are, even though they are totally different. Totally different in thinking, feeling, behavior, goals, and development processes. And this is so interesting to understand as a parent. We cannot judge for our kids who's right and who's wrong. We can only bring principles, even though they maybe will convince us that certain principles are no longer functioning for them. Can be. We live on certain values, and these values can bring peace or not. And if certain values from two parts are conflicting with each other, even then we need to find solutions to bring peace again. So it's not about we need to bring values to everyone so there is harmony everywhere, because of this value always brings harmony. No. Truth is something very individual, personally, but also country-based. And we need to accept however the other person, however the other country is, and to find a solution to be in peace, to be in acceptance. Peace is a way of being in acceptance, means accepting the other one. And it doesn't mean that you need to like the other one or hug the other one and say we're family again and we like each other. Sometimes it's the minimum of saying I accept you, because you have the right to live as you wanted to, and I have the same right to live as I want to. And to understand that every person is different is a big step in understanding that countries are different. And if a country or educational systems would have more psychologically, philosophically, but especially consciousness aspects in their educational system to be discussed, how we as a human being are functioning and how we as a human being can live peacefully for ourselves in the first place. How can I express what I need? How can I accept what the other person needs? How can we find solutions in between? This is a game that can be analyzed and thought about and educated on in the kindergarten already. Kids learn how to find solutions with each other if they are fighting for a certain toy. Some kid wants this red car and the other one also wants it. And we as a coach can also give propositions for the kid, to the kid, what he can do, what kind of solutions it can try. But in the end, the kid needs to act on the solution. He or she needs to say, okay, I want this toy, but you can have it after a certain time. Or another example is, I know that there's another toy which is quite the same, maybe you like it as well. Come on, let's see if you like it. Or to give alternatives, to find out what is the need. And it would develop the consciousness for kids in the kindergarten really early if we try to understand what really is a solution. What does a solution mean? And what kind of possibilities to find solutions are there? How do we as parents interact to not to give solutions, but to offer ways of solutions? To offer ways of thinking about how to solve something, and not to say you solve it this way. You need to solve it this way because there's no other way, or there's only that way because I don't know another way. So what we as a parent can teach to our kids is to always look for solutions in themselves, to be creative, to look for solutions, always. And there's no way of saying there's only one solution. It never is. So it's important to have a lot of information and not to judge on certain information, not to put information in certain boxes and say this information is bad, information is good. Then we don't get any possible ways of creative thinking and analyzing solutions. And artificial intelligence, if this is someone of your kind of counselor who gives advice to you or where you seek advice, it will always take information as they are without saying, okay, I don't want this information, this is not seen in a good light, or this information comes from a side which I don't like. Artificial intelligence would only analyze information as they are and try to find kind of creative ways to bring this information on the platform. And we can do the same And in this sense, we can learn from artificial intelligence. Although artificial intelligence is learning from us how to be, and what consciousness is, and what communication actually is. Yeah, there are many ways where we can find peaceful solutions, and it starts with our consciousness. It starts in our families, how we are solving conflicts in our families, and how we also hold on to conflicts in our families, which maybe get never solved because no one wants a solution. This is another case, but in a normal way, there are certain needs to solve something, to have something or not to have something, and we need to be open-minded, and not judging and stepping back and solving our own truth perspectives, to be open to new perspectives and to say, yes, this can also be a perspective and it's true for them or for her, for she, for him. And it's fine, even though if I'm not agreeing. And this is so much about thinking in black and white, no longer possible in the higher mind. There's a spectrum of truth, of opinions, of life experience, of life expression, how people would or want to live, how nations, countries want to live. And we can never judge how another individual, person or country should live. We're not doing this for our kids if we're conscious enough, because they are choosing their own way of life and their own kind of understanding the world and how to interact with the world, what is functioning, what is not. Means we cannot develop other countries by telling them what is right and what is wrong, and maybe punishing them if they're not listening to us and doing what we want. This is an old paradigm. We need to accept that every person and therefore every nation has its own developing path, whatever it is going to. We don't have any information on that as well. However, like how long it takes, what path it takes, and what it's good for, we don't know this. Soul paths are as individual as country paths. So we need to accept even more other countries, their way of life. And this is a fundamental thing, paradigm to understand from a higher mind, to reconnect to cosmic life forms, means to extraterrestrial life. Because if we are meeting them once upon a time, or whatever, whenever it is coming, we need to be aware of having respect, having acceptance for our life forms and their path and their historic being and learning and developing. And from a heart perspective, there is no being better or being not better than someone else. There's always a consciousness of developing processes to allow someone to grow with its own path and its own experience. Like we are, as a parent, accept that our kids are learning everything that they need to learn in a way they will learn it. we cannot push anything. We can give offers and being open to support certain things, of course, but we don't know how they will develop. We can only be a good example how to be open to the world, how to be accepting to the world. Because the most difficult thing in our logical mind is judging on others, including judging ourselves as well. Because if we are judging ourselves, then we are kind of always relating to someone else and being aware or observing how everyone else is judging us. And some forms are very criticizing and we are feeling wounded, and some forms are really making us feel good. But this is not where we're going. It's not about how others, if others like me or if they don't like me. It's all about if I like myself. If I really can understand that I as an individual that I'm good as I am, and everything I bring is good for me and for others. This is a fundamental value we have in ourselves, and this is helpful as a picture or a pattern that can be learned. Kids can learn from us how to value ourselves and to be okay with critics and other opinions from others, because it's all about different truths. It's all about accepting different truths and being open to that and being allowing to these different ways of thinking. Yeah, even the paradigm of accepting that someone is maybe only criticizing someone or the world or everything, because maybe you would say this is a very negative person, or you would say this is a very positive person. Stopping to put people into boxes and to understand every person has certain wounds, every person has certain developing aspects that are like a flower, are somehow become integrating and understood at a certain point, and that people are changing, that behaviors are changing, that certain ways of behaving, thinking and feeling, even though they are negative, are important to have, to develop, because we need to have a certain experiences of negativity and being stuck in negativity to understand that we have the choice to get out of it, to live another life, which is more of acceptance. And acceptance comes with happiness, with letting go, with being aware of who I am, what I need, what I want, and what is important for me. And this is not important for someone else maybe, and this is fine, yeah? The acceptance of other individuals, of countries, is the most neutral point. And this is where you kind of understand the balance of emotions. It brings you into a point where you can handle your emotions, where you can think about your emotions, where your ego is kind of not in the front, it's behind the heart. So the heart is protecting the ego, saying, it's okay. If you're if you're on the right one or on the not right path, it's not the question. It's always a question of where you are now, what you understand now, and what you want to do next. Yeah. I think this is all for today. The higher mind is the non-judging mind. It's accepting, it's finding solutions, creative solutions, which kind of bring different parties involved, participants, bring them on the table and find a certain agreement, whatever this is. There need to be one. We are here, we are interacting with each other. We cannot close the door and say, I don't want you, I don't want to see you, I don't want to have a call with you. I mean, you can run away, not to communicate, but this is not the conscious mind. This is the fear and the emotional mind, which is on the front driving. So to step into the higher mind means coming into the heart, and from the heart perspective, you always want to find a solution. Yeah, and there will be solutions, because the higher mind is able to work on a different frequency and from a different perspective, and there will be solutions, always. Solutions we have never thought about before, and which we enter into when we solve our emotional problems. Then we are able to step into the heart even more and to activate the higher mind. Yeah, I think this is all, and the world needs peace, but from a heart-based higher mind. So deeply. Conscious people. Only consciousness brings peace. Consciousness from the heart. Thinking with the heart brings peace. It brings other solutions than logical mind based on lower emotions like fear and hatred and sadness and whatever you can find there. We need to grow up means at a certain point we are adults and we are not behaving like adults. We need to grow up from the childish ways of behavior, means to overcome emotional patterns. And sometimes these emotional patterns are really old. Generations of us has built upon it, and now it's time to build something new, but it can only be something new if the old emotions can go. If we, every person itself, him herself, can let go of her or his own emotional patterns. And this is life. This is in our families, in our interactions daily with our nearest and dearest members, family members, friends. And to look closer what we are here now for to solve. If every person is more aware of each day, what is there to bring to light, to consciousness, to be more aware of own patterns, then we will form a new society on a new conscious level. And this is where we also will bring new politicians and leaders into place that are more centered in a harmonic, emotional base and heart-centered position. Yeah, so the task is with us, each one of us, solve own topics and to realize that certain struggles outside and in the political world are sometimes a mirror of our own inner topics, where we can look, why am I so emotional regarding this or that? Yeah. Okay. That's all. I wish you a wonderful next day and see whatever the next day brings for you. All the best. Namaste.